Hello and welcome to Tigers Talk Ethics. Today we're going to be discussing the ethical issues regarding social media, what's appropriate and what's not. Let's turn it over to Kelly, Catherine, and Bailey as they discuss these questions in further detail.
The first question that we're looking at this evening is to see whether or not people think it's ethical for employers to use social media in order to make hiring decisions.
I wouldn't say that it's unethical. I don't think that it should be the deciding factor in hiring somebody, but I think that your social media outlet, whether that be your Twitter or your Facebook, that does portray who you are as a person. So I do think that it's okay for employers to use social media in hiring.
Absolutely, because your actions affect their company.
Yes, I do, because I feel like you shouldn't post anything or have anything like that you wouldn't want your parents or your family to see on Facebook. That same with your job. It's the internet. Anyone's going to be able to get a hold of it, even if it's not your employer.
I would say there's a certain boundary between social media and friends with workplace, because you do certain things with your friends, you talk and you say whatever, but with a workplace, you prepare yourself, you change yourself for that work environment, so to be professional, basically.
Yeah, I do, because I think they should know what they're getting into before they hire a person.
In a recent career building survey, 37% of employers look at their employees' Facebooks before hiring them.
I wonder if they do that only for negative reasons, to look and see, is this person going to be a bad fit into our company because they're, irresponsible? Do you think there's any positive reasons that they would look?
I think they could look on to see if they would fit in with their office and their company's culture, and just make sure they're well-rounded and that not only would the company enjoy having them, but that they would enjoy being at the company.
That's a really interesting perspective.
I wonder how far the range goes on social media in terms of privacy settings, from keeping your profile very protected to having it so anyone can see it.
My social media was made private this summer when I went to Europe because I was afraid of, I don't want to say I was afraid of pictures I was tagged in, that sounds bad, but I wanted to be able to check the pictures that I was tagged in before they were made public for everybody to see. So I have mine to where I have an activity log that I have to approve or decline to put on my Facebook page. I think that pictures can be taken out of context, so I think that even though it might look a certain way, that's not a way that I might want to portray myself. So that's why I want to be able to be the deciding factor whether or not it goes public for everybody to see.
Very private. I don't have anyone I don't know, and no one can't see any of my pictures or, all that stuff. And I'm censor what I put up unless I don't want everyone to know it. People can always use it against you. If you don't want people to know about it, you shouldn't put it up somewhere public.
I make it pretty private. Like I said, I don't put anything on there that I wouldn't want anybody else to see. I'm friends with my family and my grandma, so if grandma doesn't want to see it, I'm pretty sure someone who wants to hire me isn't going to want to see it. Private, I make a lot of stuff private just so creepy people on Facebook don't try to contact me.
I make it pretty private because I don't want any random people or people I don't know or possible bad people, I guess, to find me.
I think mine's completely blocked, at least I hope it is. Just because I don't want people I don't know seeing all of my business, because Facebook and Twitter are you can see everything about a person's life.
There's obviously a big range between keeping your social media site very protected, and then some people are a lot more open with it. Personally, I have mine on a privacy setting that I think is probably in the middle of that range, because I want a lot of people to see my Facebook and my Twitter, but I also keep it, I feel private enough that people I don't know can't see my Facebook and social media sites.
And I also like how you can edit your privacy settings, on Facebook, for example. When I was a camp counselor, I had it so that my younger campers who have Facebook, even though they're 12 or 13, can't see just everything I'm doing all the time. And I also noticed how people started changing their names on Facebook. Have you
Yeah,
been
or
seeing that?
spelling them weird so that people can't search for them. That's a different way of searching for setting your own privacy settings, I guess. Obviously, social media websites are growing exponentially every day. Let's take a look and see which social media site college students use the most.
I use Facebook the most, just because that's the form of social media that I've been using, and I like the picture aspect. Twitter, I've started using, but I don't really put up that many tweets just because I don't feel the need for people to see what I'm doing.
It used to be Twitter. That became very time consuming because you do it all the time. Now I use Facebook to keep up, into the age where people are having kids, getting married. I mean, I'm not, like people that were older than me when I was in high school. So they're doing big things.
I use Facebook because it's the easiest, I feel like. Twitter is just more so like statuses and things that you feel like at that moment. Whereas like Facebook is like a timeline of everything going on in your life over a period of time with photos, talking to friends and everything. It's just a really easy way to connect with people even if they're not here.
I just use Facebook because everyone uses it basically. You're in college, everyone just communicates through that way.
Probably just Facebook, and I don't know why, it's just become a habit.
It looks like Facebook was one of the most used here at Clemson. And according to statistics, Facebook has 1 billion users, while YouTube has 4 billion views a day. Twitter is the second popular with 500 million users, and then LinkedIn and Pandora have 175 million users.
Those are some big numbers.
What site would you say you use the most?
I guess I probably use Facebook the most, but then there's also all new kinds of social media like Instagram and Pinterest, and I'm on Pinterest all the time.
There's obviously a lot of positive effects of social media sites,
but there also could be a lot of negatives. Let's turn to the students and hear more.
I think that social media is positive because it gives you a chance to catch up with people, see what people are doing. I think the negative part is that it is very time consuming, and I think that people use social media as an outlet to not actually get to know somebody, and it's an easy way to cop out.
Positives is keeping in contact with people that you don't see often, with their lives, not having to ask them all these questions all the time, you just see it. But a big negative is some people don't know their limits, and another negative is sometimes you use contact with, like human contact, meeting up with people, talking to people, call them on the phone, kind of everything is indirect.
Positive, being able to contact people, like once I graduated high school, some of my friends go to other schools, and it's easy to just kind of go and be like, oh, see what they're up to and what they're doing. Negative, a lot of people can post things that aren't very ethical or just personal things that they should just keep off Facebook or Twitter or whatnot. That just kind of gives them a negative.
The positive aspects of social media are probably just the ease of communication with other people. Like you say like, oh, who wants to hang out? 5 minutes later someone says, oh yeah, we can do this and that. The negatives are just the drama over it basically, like with everyone talking, someone might take something the wrong way and start a huge debate, and then drama occurs in real life and stuff like that.
It's a great way to stay connected with people, especially people you haven't seen in a while or people at different schools. But I think it's negative is it exposes so much about your daily life that maybe you don't want people to see.
Those students definitely had some interesting perspectives on social media and what could be positive and what could be negative.
Yeah, how do you think it affects the education while we're talking about the Clemson students?
Well, what I've noticed more and more each year is like people being on Facebook or different social media sites when they're in class, and I just wonder how that affects students as far as taking notes or paying attention. I bet that really damages their education.
Yeah, I know personally for me, when I'm studying or have to write a paper, I always find myself taking Facebook breaks or checking Twitter, and sometimes they have this app called Self-Control that you can set it and it won't let you on those sites for however long you set it for yourself. So I find myself using that a lot to actually get work done, and I find it kind of sad that I have to set something to not get on it.
That says a lot about how much we really use social media in college, and even just now in our generation that we use that they would have to create a website like that. And I wonder, I bet it affects like grammar, or if people just sending things on Facebook chat or Twitter, you can only have 140 characters to say what you want. So I bet even at a younger age, you're starting to see people spell things shorter and wrong just in order to fit it into that small space.
Yeah, I think another problem with it is that people rely on it for all their answers, and just if they have like a thesis they have to create, they can just go to Google and type in like research ideas for whatever topic, and instead of like taking the time to think of their own ideas and just generate their own thoughts for their papers.
Right, and then there's also the positive aspects, like keeping in touch with people that don't go to the same school as you. Like you may not ever know exactly what's going on in their life, but then you can see a picture of like, oh, that's what she did over spring break or something like that.
Yeah, and in regards to education as well, another positive could be like getting in touch with your group members. You can share, they have Google Docs, so you can share your documents with the whole group these days, and that really helps in regards to like group projects here.
And also the availability of information. I know when my parents talk about the good old days when they have to go to the library and spend hours looking through books, we can just type in a simple question online and we get the answer immediately.
True.
There's a lot of debate about whether or not there should be an age requirement in order to join social media sites. Let's see what people say.
I think there should be an age requirement because I think it's kind of weird when 12-year-olds and 13-year-olds are using social media. I think that it kind of speeds up their growth process, and I think that social media not used correctly can actually be harmful.
Absolutely, because kids do not know what they're doing. They post stupid stuff, you know? Even older kids. Yeah, I'm coming. Even older kids, you know? They just don't know what they're doing whenever they're posting stuff on these sites, so.
Yes, absolutely, because I have gotten friend requests from kids that I babysit that are like 12 years old, and that's just weird. Facebook was originally made for just college students, and I feel like it should stay that way, college and up, or maybe just have like a separate social media for like older people, like my family. And because also not only with that, but a lot of the older generation doesn't even know how to use it. Like my mom will like tag herself in photos of me, and it's really creepy.
Definitely, because some people aren't mature enough to use social media sites, such as younger teenagers, basically.
Definitely, or maybe that their parents have to like be involved as well, because that could be really dangerous.
It seems that everyone thinks that there should be somewhat of an age requirement in order to join social media sites.
I agree with what a lot of those students had to say, and I know that Facebook actually has a age requirement, and you're supposed to be 13 in order to join it. But all you have to do is put in a different birth year,
yeah,
and you're part of it. So that also raises just an ethical issue of these people lying to get onto the social media websites. And also, I don't think that like people younger than 13 need to be on social media sites. I didn't have anything like that when I was like 11 or 12 or anything.
And it kind of raises the question of, yeah, maybe Facebook has thought of that, but why haven't other social media sites kind of joined in on having an age requirement in order to join their social media site? About Twitter and Instagram and things like that, some of that content is not appropriate for kids under 13.
I agree, and it's hard to enforce that when all you have to do is put in a birth date. There's no way to like validate how old someone is, so I don't really know what they could do for that.
And some parental controls, like parents don't know that their kids even have a Facebook, so who knows what they could be doing on those sites. I think maybe a good solution could be to make kind of like a different social media, or to have a Facebook Junior or something like that that kind of tended to that age group, so that they could be in their own world and have a separate set of content, and they could not lie about their age and see things that are kind of more age appropriate if they feel the need to have a social media.
Definitely. And what do you think about people, like I know a lot of people complain about how their grandparents use social media or how their parents are on Facebook like stalking them. What do you think about that?
I would certainly like for them to be in their own world, but I think that it's great that they're also learning how to keep up with technology and how technologically advanced our world is becoming, that they're able to kind of join in on that. And with privacy settings, if you don't want them to be a part of your social media, then you can block them. But I think it's great that, you know, they didn't have this technology and now they're also able to keep in touch with friends from high school and college. I think it's been a really cool technologically advancement that's been made.
As we saw earlier, it's really easy to lie about yourself on social media sites, but what are some other dangers of portraying yourself differently on sites such as Facebook or other social media sites?
Yeah, I think there's a problem with people being portrayed differently on social media just because social media is supposed to be an extension of yourself, and if you're portraying yourself differently, then that's kind of the same thing as being two-faced. So I think that's a problem when people portray themselves differently.
No, because if you're using it correctly, you should know the people and they should know how you really look. So if you want to, you know, look like a star, I guess, go ahead and look like a star. I don't know. I mean, they should know how you look, so they say, hey, that's a nice edited picture. Like Instagram or something like that.
I do, because a lot of people do the photo editing and will just kind of try to make themselves not really feel younger. I feel like it's more so to look older. People will hide their birthdays too to make it seem like they're 21. I do.
I wouldn't say that's a big problem, but yeah, somewhat.
Definitely. I know a lot of people have had their identity stolen, or you just don't know who you're talking to all the time.
I think those were some really interesting responses, but I'm kind of talking about something even more serious, such as when people lie about their age, like young girls are on websites and saying that they're older than they are, and they have shows now have come out like To Catch a Predator and stuff like that, where these old men are either aware or they're not aware of how young these girls are, that are really putting themselves out there and lying and portraying themselves differently than they are.
Mm-hmm. Do you think there's any solutions to this, or what could any of the social media sites do?
I don't know. I guess they could run something that did somewhat of a check of, if they did it through school records or something like that, that they were able to match you up, because you do have to connect through a network of a high school or a college or something like that. Maybe they could kind of fact check in that way, but I'm sure people would find a way around it. Maybe they just need to start some kind of campaign, a pop culture type of campaign, to tell people that it's not safe and that you should really portray yourself as you are on social media sites.
On a lighter note, have you noticed how many people are editing their own pictures these days?
It's a little embarrassing, I think, when you airbrush yourself like the models do. I think we should probably just leave that to Hollywood.
Agreed.
Thank you for joining us today when we talked about the ethical issues of social media.
Until next time, stay ethical.